You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Amanda, we have a lot to talk about. There's just been amazing things that have been happening in the last few days. We're going to cover quite a few of them on this program, so stand by. Libs of TikTok, the woman behind Libs of TikTok, did something insane. She did something insane. She gave an interview to Tucker Carlson where she revealed both her first and last name and revealed her face.
Wow.
And
yeah, that was stupid.
You know, I'm going to play a clip from the interview because what she said is fascinating. I want to talk about that. And even though Libs of TikTok was doxxed by these leftist wokesters a while ago, now that they can actually see her face from this interview, it's going to trigger them. And let me tell you, you know, when people talk about triggering liberals, I watch too much YouTube, okay? I watch a lot of YouTube videos.
That's for sure.
And the stuff I watch on YouTube, I watch a variety of things on YouTube, most of which none of you would be interested in. Kathy thinks I'm crazy, 3/4 of the things I watch on YouTube. But I do watch a lot of people talking about different things. And I give an example. Like I take a listener cruise with Steve Kane every year. So I watch a lot of YouTubers that do YouTube channels just on cruising so I can know what's going on in the world of cruising. And I see this on a lot of videos when people are talking. They'll come on and they will actually say, now, I do have to give a trigger warning because there were some things that I'm going to talk about. Give me a break, you know? So trigger warning is like a real thing with liberal snowflake millennials and those Zoomers, okay? They're all into trigger warnings and everything else. And now that Libs of TikTok has actually shown her face to Tucker Carlson, that's going to trigger them, even though her name was already released some time ago. I think it was a mistake for her to let herself be seen.
Why do you think she did it?
Pressure. I'll tell you what. And I also think there before she came out and said, yes, this is me, there had been people saying Libs of TikTok is this person. She made a mistake confirming it, and she's made another mistake showing herself because they want to destroy this poor girl. I mean, she's brilliant.
I would do whatever. She is actually changing policy.
That's right.
It's amazing. And I've seen it in Florida firsthand. Ron DeSantis has even referenced her social media.
The Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, I know that's not what it's really called.
She's actually affected policy here.
The Don't Say Gay bill in Florida and Disney losing its city status, that was a direct result of Libs of TikTok.
And DeSantis even said that.
Yes.
That he saw Libs of TikTok. She's exposing.
She's the biggest influencer in America.
Social media wise, I mean, she definitely has a lot of power. But if I was her, this is what I think's going on. I would try to stay completely anonymous as long as possible to protect myself, my family. But you know what I think's happening? I think she wants the fame. I think she wants people to know who she is. I think she wants to be hobnobbing. She probably has been invited to parties and events with these upper echelon people. And I think she wants that notoriety and all that it comes with. But I don't think she realizes what she's getting herself into. These people will destroy her life.
And
she's making a mistake. But I think she wants the fame and the attention.
I really
do.
The credit.
The credit. Yeah, she wants the credit. Exactly.
But there's also a lot of pressure been put upon her by people like Tucker Carlson who want to interview her. And so they want her to be seen. It's a big mistake.
I'm sure they're telling her, oh, you shouldn't hide. You should be proud. You know, she's being influenced by people. Not smart.
She should have kept her identity as secret as possible.
I agree.
And when they said that this is the person, she should never have confirmed
like Cat Turd. Cat Turd is not influencing policy that we know of.
He's pretty big, though.
But he's huge. He's huge on Twitter, and everybody he's even trending sometimes. Everybody knows.
All the time.
He gets retweeted by famous people. All we know is he lives in Florida. That's all he's mentioned, which I don't even know why he did that, but nobody knows who he is. He's very smart and very on the DL. And she is out there putting herself out there for what I believe is just fame and attention.
Yeah, and
credit, like
vanity. I love Libs of TikTok. And I'm not even saying her name, even though it's out there, because I don't want to be a party into her being identified, because I think it's a big mistake. In fact, if I were Tucker, I would have not shown her face. So let me get to this, though. I want to play a clip. Mm-hmm. And this is an interview that she gave on Tucker Carlson's Fox Nation show. It's not on the regular Fox News channel. It's on Fox Nation. But she made, I think, a very, very smart point here. So I'm just going to play the one clip, and then we'll talk about it.
What is going on here? Do you have any theories?
I think there's something so unique about the LGBTQ community has become this cult, and it's so captivating, and it pulls people in so strongly, unlike anything we've ever seen. And they brainwash people to join, and they convince them of all of these things. And it's really, really hard to get out of it. It's really difficult. And there are studies on this. Like there's been a lot of reporting on this about people, parents who are like, my child is starting to say, that they're non-binary or transgender or whatever. And what do I do? How do I stop this? And it's really, really difficult. It's unlike anything we've ever seen, I think. It's extremely poisonous.
But do you see a spiritual component to any of this? You don't have to answer that if you don't want.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I do. I don't think this makes sense at all.
No, it doesn't make any sense. And I think they're evil. And sometimes we try to break it down a lot, and we discuss like why this is happening, what's happening, and whatever. And I think sometimes the simplest answer is like they're just evil. They're bad people. They're just evil people, and they want to groom kids.
Yeah,
they're recruiting.
Okay. Yeah, that's Libs of TikTok. And
who is she when she says they're evil? Is she speaking about the entire gay community or these teachers? Who is she specifically?
She's talking
referencing?
about the whole trans movement, the non-binary, all the gender stuff.
This whole thing that's been happening in schools.
She's talking about the LGBTQ plus whatever the alphabet soup is right now. And I will say that I don't think they're all evil. Some of them have very evil intent. This Rachel Levine, who works for Biden, that's an evil person. Most of them are brainwashed and don't even realize what they're doing. They're doing evil things, but they think that they fit into a few categories. Some of them are evil people. There's no doubt about it. Like I would put Rachel Levine in that. They're evil people. There are some people that are truly brainwashed who think that they're doing something grand. And some of them are people that want acceptance for themselves. So they're in some weirdo thing and they're trying to normalize it so they feel normal. I give an example. I've told this to Kathy before. I don't know if I've told this to you guys on the program. But in the radio industry, because that I've been in my entire life, radio is part of the arts, and there's a lot of gay people in radio. Not currently where I'm working, but in the past, and out of the closet people, because it's like the theater, radio. And I've worked with a lot of gay men at radio stations over the years. And when people are at work, they kind of talk. And a lot of these guys that are gay would talk about all the guys they had sex with, and they were always the same story. They were always straight guys. And I remember these two gay guys I worked with at a radio station once were talking. One of them was in the Cayman Islands and was having sex with guys on the beach, and they were always straight guys who were married, and their wives were sleeping in the hotel while they were with them on the beach having sex. It was always stories of straight guys. And
if you're having sex with a man, you're not straight.
At first, I didn't understand this. Yeah, that's right. They're not straight.
You're not straight if you're having gay sex.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I didn't quite understand this, and and then I worked somewhere else where it was totally different place with gay guys, and I didn't work with gay guys. Some of the people I worked with at the radio station were, and they would tell similar stories.
Yeah.
These guys they had sex with were all straight, and then I realized why that is. If the guys they're having sex with are straight, they're not gay. They're straight too. They like to think of themselves as straight and normal. Mm-hmm. So
it's a way to rationalize their behavior.
They don't want to think of themselves as gay. They want to think of themselves as straight and normal too.
So they're the real homophobes.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's a lot of people in this movement that there are evil people. There are people that think that are brainwashed because they've been educated by these woke professors that have taught them this stuff. There's a lot of people that are struggling with whatever they're doing, and they're looking for a way to accept themselves by promoting it. And another thing is, what Libs of TikTok said a lot of things here, that it's a cult. I agree with that.
I agree. I want to say
it's definitely a cult.
Brian and I have known gay people, and there's gay people in my family. I will say that. And I love them dearly. So I don't really have issues with the gay community. I'm for gay marriage and all that because I have people in my life that are gay that I love very much. And I have seen their journey into that life, and they're not activists or anything. They're just living their life, and they don't agree with a lot with this stuff going on in schools at all. And one of the people in my family who's gay, we were talking about it, and they told me that they said that the gay community has been commandeered by these activists.
Yes.
And
the gender people.
These gender people that are going into schools and brainwashing children. And this person said people in the gay community are afraid to speak out about it because they will be ostracized and penalized. And that's a real thing. And I agree with her. I don't think most gay people, I could be wrong, agree with this brainwashing of children and books and this non-binary and all this crap they're doing. But it's definitely being taken over by cult-like figures that have commandeered this group. And the problem is this person who I talked to in my family said that the problem is the gay umbrella is become so big, and there's so many different things that fall under this umbrella. And they feel they have to embrace this, even if they don't. Yeah. And that made a lot of sense to me. And I think they're factions.
Being bullied.
They're right. And like what she said, the Libs of TikTok, how it's hard to get out of it. I've heard that from many gay people on TikTok and other things, and people I know that if you see these people that have changed genders and now they've changed back, and they've talked about how they've been bullied and harassed and their life has been threatened. So I agree. I think what's happening is all of a sudden, for some reason, and maybe it's TikTok, maybe it's something else, the gay community has been taken over, whether a lot of gays agree with it or not, by these cult-like figures. It has been embraced by the Biden administration because he had that one non-binary weirdo that stole the luggage. They're embracing this. They're allowing it in schools. And what they'll do is they'll tell you, like CRT, that it doesn't exist. They gaslight you, even though you have proof. You show a book. You show this. I've seen videos of parents at teachers' meetings and things, and when the school board meetings, they will hold up books that they found in the kids' library. And the school board members will tell them, you're lying. That's not true. They will gaslight you. So I agree with her. It is the LGBT community is turning into a cult, and they are brainwashing and they're recruiting. That's what they warned us about in the 80s. So, do you remember? They talked about this in the 80s.
So she said it's a cult. But then at the end,
they're definitely recruiting.
Yeah. Then at the end, she talked about recruiting. So this is the other group, and this kind of fits under the umbrella of evil. They're not all of them that are evil in this movement are not doing this. Okay. But it used to be groomers were these weirdo, creepy guys trying to pick up underage girls and underage boys and all this stuff. And now what you have are groomers have come out more out of the closet now. The people that Libs of TikTok are groomers that are trying to recruit young people into this into this lifestyle.
It's happening in school.
That is definitely evil, and it's also criminal. And there's a lot of problems here. But I'll tell you, with liberals, they always push too far. They have boundary issues.
That's for sure.
And this next story that relates to this that I'm going to get to in a moment shows where the boundaries have gotten way out of control and there'll be a backlash. But I first want to tell you guys, I did not know this, that Steve Kane did this. I was talking to Steve Kane this morning when we got off the radio, and he got, so I don't know if he got them for Christmas or if he got them previously, but he got MyPillow 100% Giza cotton dream sheets, which, by the way, with our promo code Kane, K-A-N-E, at checkout, just $29.98. We have 6 sets of these.
Oh, they're the best
and
sheets ever.
4 of them are regular, 2 of them are flannel. We've been sleeping on the flannel the last few nights because it's been in the 40s here in Florida. But Steve was going on and on about, he said, these sheets are spectacular.
They're amazing.
And I said, well, Steve, haven't you heard me do the commercials for them for, all this time?
He finally figured it out.
You have to take my word for it. And he said, these sheets are just amazing.
They are.
And they are. And I want to add something.
I love them.
About MyPillow that's very, very important. Mike Lindell, who you want to talk about cancel culture, has been a big victim of cancel culture. He's been thrown out of all the major retailers, including Walmart. And Mike Lindell has promised, and he's been able to keep this promise. He has not laid off one single employee, even though he's been kicked out of every retail store.
That is amazing.
And the reason that is because of you all out there supporting MyPillow, and the prices are incredibly low. And the reason that is when you use our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E, you're getting the wholesale price. You're getting the price that Walmart would pay for the items from MyPillow. You're getting the direct from the manufacturer wholesale price, and that's why you're seeing these incredibly reduced prices. But furthermore, you're not just supporting this program and all the content that I'm connected to, right? Anytime you use our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E, you're supporting Kathy and myself here on the podcast. You're also supporting the Steve Kane Show. But it came out at the end of the week that Mike Lindell is covering the cost of Carrie Lake's legal team. She's not a wealthy woman, and the Republicans aren't helping her. And now Katie Hobbs and Maricopa County are going after Carrie Lake and her legal team. They want $500,000 out of them. And
why? For what?
They're because of her lawsuit. They're saying it was a nuisance law.
Oh, my goodness.
So when you go to MyPillow.com, you can take advantage of all the specials you see there with our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E. But just remember, you're supporting this program that Kathy and I do, the Steve Kane Show, Mike Lindell, his employees, and also the great Carrie Lake. And, so you can take advantage of any of these specials. But I'm so glad Steve finally got the MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, and he just loves them. So go to MyPillow.com, use our promo code Kane at checkout. And again, the Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, just $29.98 with the promo code Kane. Okay, so the boundary issues of this trans movement that Libs of TikTok was talking about, there's a story today that is just stupid. And I wasn't going to share this with you all because it's so stupid. But after watching the interview with Libs of TikTok, it fits into everything she said. Now, Little Women, there's been many, many versions of Little Women. I've never read the book.
Movie versions.
The movie version.
Yeah, I've read the book. It's very
I've never read the book. The book is for girls.
You would hate it.
But I've seen the movies, many of them black and white color. They remake it every 10 years or so. And it's part of Western civilization.
Oh, it's a classic piece of literature,
novel,
for sure.
Little Women. So listen, this is an example of how out of control this transgender cult has gotten. Listen to this. This is in the news today. The author of the feminist novel Little Women, which I don't know. I guess it is a feminist. I never really thought of it as a feminist novel. You haven't read the book, but the main character, Joe, who is, I think, based on Louisa May Alcott, was kind of a feminist. Okay.
She kind of went against
the
norms of gender at the time. She was a writer.
Well, we'll get to okay. Well, maybe you can put that
wasn't the
label on.
atypical female at the time.
Well, listen, but it gets beyond that.
Or the typical, I mean.
The author of the feminist novel Little Women may have been transgender or identified as non-binary, according to an article written by a trans New York Times writer. Now, when I get to this, their evidence for this is just
stupid.
Beyond stupid. I mean, Louisa May Alcott, who penned the semi-autobiographical book in 1868, likely did not identify as a woman, according to the president of the Louisa May Alcott Society. Quoted in the New York Times, Dr. Gregory Iselin says he's certain the author of the popular novel identified as non-binary and that she never fit a binary sex-gender model. Now, when this book was written in 1868, I gotta look up
non-binary. I don't know what the hell that
means you don't identify as any gender, okay?
So what are you then?
And in 1868, they didn't know what transgender was. They didn't know what we had to Google what non-binary is now. The New York Times article author, Peyton Thomas, who is a trans man, which I think means born a woman, and novelist himself, goes on to claim that Alcott could have even been transgender in 1868, right after the American Civil War. Give me a break. In the opinion piece, Mr. Thomas draws on a quote given by Alcott in the early 1880s, where she says this: "I am more than half persuaded that I am a man's soul, put by some freak of nature into a woman's body." Now, I want to just comment on that quote. I've actually heard that quote before from Alcott. I don't remember the context, but it's a well-known quote. And I remember my thought of it at the time, and it was probably when I was in school. I don't know if it was college or high school or middle school. I don't know. I don't remember. But I do remember this being discussed in some schooling I went to. And what the common thinking was at the time was that it was very difficult for women to get published, that even novels about women were typically written by men. Mm-hmm. And because she was a published author, she was feeling like she was doing something manly. It was kind of the thinking. But like I said, they didn't know what transgender was back in the 1880s. The New York Times writer writes this: "She may not have known the word transgender, but she certainly knew the feeling it describes." He also draws on her journal entries in which she wrote, "I long to be a man," which that means you had no rights as women. Remember, in America, women could not even vote until 1920.
Yeah.
But in the United States and in Europe, women had no rights. And a lot of women in the past, when movements of women first started in the 1800s, often talked about, "I wish I was a man so I could do this." It doesn't mean I'm trans and I want to be a man, or I feel like I'm identifying as a man. I wish I had the rights and freedoms of a man is typically what they meant back then. This is the problem when you put today's context on things from long ago.
That's true. And people do that all the time.
Yeah.
Like when they talk about slavery or anything, the Holocaust, or like Whoopi Goldberg with her stupid comments. When you look back at history, it is, and you look at it from our point of view, it is so out of context in the sense that things back in her time in the 19th century were so different. Women of today can't even grasp what it was like for a woman. A woman back then had
none.
You're right. Your identity was through who you married. Your rights were through your husband.
You couldn't get a job.
I mean, men had to marry off their daughters very early, like 15, 16, to a good husband, because they really rarely had rights just as a female alone.
Yeah, now let me get back to that. Now, this is the evidence that the New York Times transgender writer wrote, okay? This is the writer, describes on Alcott's journal entries in which she wrote, "I long to be a man," while in a letter she penned wrote this: "I was born with a boy's nature, a boy's spirit, and a boy's wrath." Meaning that what Alcott meant is they are a woman who's out in the world of work and writers and everything else. That's what that means. It doesn't mean that they were.
It could mean that she's just ambitious.
It does not mean that she identified as a man.
She might have what at the time she deemed as male qualities: ambition, drive, independence. Women were not seen as having those traits.
Yeah.
Nor that they should have. This is not long after the Civil War. And women were not seen as being able to even be intelligent and have thoughtful discussion. So maybe even just being smart and discussing world events and being independent at all was considered manly.
Yeah, now and
today it would not be.
And in this article, they even say buried here. Many have rightly agreed that a woman in that era, the 1880s, wanting to be a man is more likely them desiring to be taken more seriously in terms of rank, opportunity, and education. Remember, women couldn't even get education. In the book, Jo March's character desiring to earn her own money as a man would. So she tries her hardest to break through the gender norms of the time.
Yeah.
This in the article, Thomas cites, this is the New York Times writer, the example of a tweet written by tennis legend Martina Navratilova, who came out as gay in 1981, which read, "Do you have any idea how hard you would try to convince me I am trans if I were born 50 years later? I would be 15 years old and you would be telling me I was trapped in the wrong body. So who exactly is guilty of sex in the social construct here? The case for Alcott's self-identity is based on a number of journal entries." What Navratilova is saying is she's not trans. She's a gay woman who's a little boyish, but not trans. And they're applying trans too liberally. Anyway, I'm not going to read the rest of the article, but this is the beginning. This article about the author of Little Women is the beginning of something that is a terrible thing. What is going to start happening now is these activists, these trans activists. I've got a Charlie horse in my foot right now. I guess I haven't.
You drink some water.
Well, I'll do that during the break.
Or have a banana. Oh, you can't.
I'm allergic to bananas.
Never mind.
Yeah, I'll stand up and put my weight
glass of orange
on
juice.
My foot. It hurts like a son of a gun. This Charlie.
You're either dehydrated or need potassium.
Yeah.
So.
Or all of the above.
Orange juice would solve the problem.
But we are in Florida, so. Yeah. But anyway, this is the beginning of something that's very dangerous. What's going to happen now are these trans activists that Libs of TikTok was talking about. Is they're going to start going throughout time, and calling people in the past trans. When the gay activists were involved in the culture wars in the 90s, there was a lot of writings that's faded away that Abraham Lincoln was gay, because he wrote of traveling around and sharing a bed with a man in his travels. It was because they only had one bed in the place they were renting, but they were saying that he was in a gay relationship.
Well, they like to say Jesus was gay.
Yeah, well, I don't like that. I'll tell you that.
No, I don't either. But that's what they say.
But the trans activists are going to start going through everything. It's only a matter of time before we find out Joan of Arc was probably really a man living as a woman or some trans thing there.
Exactly.
And that's what they do, and it's called revisionist history.
They have a compulsion to do that, and that also falls under the umbrella of tearing down statues and destroying history, eliminating history, rewriting history, making you look at things differently than they were, and seeing things through their lens. And look, with this Louisa May Alcott thing, you might say, who cares? Well, it matters because, like Brian said, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And they're starting with her, and then they write a paper on somebody else, and then they start teaching it in school. Okay, so I read Little Women in 9th grade, and then I read it a few years ago. So if I was in school now in 9th grade, I mean, I don't even know if they teach Little Women. I don't know if it's even on their literature anymore. But say they were, and I was being taught that, and I had some activist teacher. She would say to me, "Oh, by the way, did you know that Louisa May Alcott was non-binary?" And non-binary, by the way, I Googled it. It means it's like Demi Lovato. You switch between genders at will.
Oh, great.
Oh, I'm a man this day. I'm a woman this day. Or you can be agender, which means you're not any gender. So I don't know what the hell you are. If you're not a man or woman, what are you? A turtle? I mean, there's nothing else. So you're fluid. You go between. It's ridiculous. So I think it's dangerous because, like I said, this falls into what kids are learning, what's being taught to them. And some teachers might read this article and give it to their students to read before they read Little Women. And they might say, "Oh, read this about the author."
That's right.
Before you read this book. So you can understand her point of view. But I think what was really going on with Alcott is, like you said, she was a woman in a man's world.
Which meant writing and be educated and publishing.
Jo March, who's based on her, was
famous in her own lifetime.
Okay, she was like a tomboy. And they even referenced that in the book, how she's like a boy. because she talks back and she has traits that at the time women were not supposed to have. But now, of course, they do. But even just asserting yourself back then was considered manly, okay? Just asserting your opinion was considered a manly trait. As to now, it's not. Now they call you a Karen. But back then, it was different. It was just a different time. So like you said, they're looking back over 100 years ago at a woman taking her life completely out of context, not understanding fully what it was like for her. And maybe her wanting to be a boy or feeling like a boy was, like I said, she just had ambition like a boy.
And what's going to come next, well, you watch. And if you guys may remember, about 15 years ago, there was a trend in going back in old writings and rewriting them, like Sense and Sensibility was rewritten as Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters. Someone is going to go back to Little Women and make the Little Women 3 little trans people. And they're going to rewrite
like Abraham, Sense and Sensibility
and Sea Monsters,
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies was another one.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire.
Well, that wasn't based on a real book though. So you watch, it's going to be Little Women is going to be turned into 3 little trans women, and they'll release it because there's no copyright left on these old books. All right, now listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's much more to talk about. There's all kinds of liberal craziness going on. My name is Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Beauty truly does come from within. Taking the right supplements can make all the difference. If you're experiencing thinning hair or brittle nails, there is a solution that can help. VivaShine Hair, Skin, and Nail Gummies. Available online at vivashine.com. These gummies can help promote hair strength, support scalp health, and addresses the underlying causes of weak hair health, which can cause hair loss. They're all natural, third-party tested, safe, and effective. They taste great and contain no artificial sugars, artificial flavors, or colors. There's no soy, no dairy, no eggs or wheat, and they're non-GMO. These gummies contain a potent form of marine collagen, which can offer better absorption. The gummies also contain vitamins A, C, D, E, and the B vitamins we all need for better health. It's also proudly made right here in the USA and is now among the top 5 products on Amazon for the keywords marine collagen gummy and marine collagen gummies. It tastes great too, like sweet berry candy. Order your VivaShine hair growth gummies with biotin online at vivashine.com and click the Buy on Amazon button. Start the new year with thick, gorgeous hair, beautiful skin, and strong nails. vivashine.com. Are you looking for cute and comfortable clothing for your child? Look no further. Bister Shop, it's all one word, on Etsy.com has you covered. Bister Shop on Etsy is stocked with a wide variety of colorful, toddler, and children's clothing. You're sure to find an outfit your child will love to wear. Bister Shop on Etsy focuses on providing high-quality, fine designs made for your little one to stay comfortable and stylish. When you visit the shop, make sure to check out their colorful t-shirts, zip-up hoodies, long-sleeve pajamas, and baby bodysuits. All the designs are eco-friendly and responsibly sourced and made of 100% organic cotton material. With pass-down quality, they encourage you to give your outgrown clothes to someone you love. To help us all protect our blue home, visit Bister Shop, it's all one word, BISTER on Etsy, and start shopping right now. Do you still think that elves, dwarves, and magic are just a myth? Think again. It's time for a magical supernatural adventure. If you love getting lost in mysterious worlds and mystical stories, there's a book you won't want to put down. The Pillars of Life, The Lost Element, a supernatural fantasy for lovers of magic, excitement, and adventure. Meet James, an orphan who's pulled into a world of elemental magic. He meets new friends and a wise mentor, and finally feels he has a place to call home. But a magical danger is brewing, and James must do all he can to protect his new family. Join James in his quest in the book, The Pillars of Life, The Lost Element, available on BarnesandNoble.com, Amazon, Kobo, and all major platforms in ebook, paperback, and hardcover editions. Order your copy right now. Are you looking to add a unique personal touch to that empty wall? Look no further. Dark Rose Metal on Etsy has you covered with modern contemporary metal wall art. Dark Rose Metal's wall art makes it easy to add a personal touch to any room. When you visit the shop, browse their selection of unique wall art designs with metal pieces featuring abstract and geometric art, artistic lettering, logos, geometric line art, and that's just the beginning. These metal wall hangings are made of high-quality thick metal with premium paints. They're easy to hang too and ready for you wherever you want to add some unique artistic flair. Visit Dark Rose Metal, that's all one word, on Etsy.com and start shopping right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. I tell you, James Cameron, he's got this disaster of a movie, right, that Disney put out, Avatar. And this new Avatar 2, I will never see this movie in its entirety. And Kathy and I, we have Disney Plus. And the reason we have Disney Plus is because I love Star Wars and these new Star Wars shows, which are mostly garbage. It's still Star Wars. And I like having the Star Wars movies.
There's some Disney movies I like.
Yeah, if it were not for the Star Wars, I would never be watching Disney Plus. But at some point, Avatar 2 will be available for free on Disney Plus. Yeah. I'll never watch this movie in its entirety.
I think sooner than later.
I didn't like the first one. I thought the first one, which in my opinion is plagiarism. The first, and James Cameron, Kathy and I have uncovered, has done some plagiarism in the past, which we'll tell you. But
he's a big plagiarist.
I don't know about the second Avatar because I haven't seen this remake of garbage. But the first Avatar is a almost complete remake of a Kevin Costner film, Dances with Wolves, where he goes far away from home, way out on the frontier. It's not space, out on the prairie, and then he ends up with the Indians. It's a complete.
It's a ripoff.
It is a 100% ripoff of Dancing with Wolves.
Plagiarism is being nice,
and I thought that.
Yeah, you're right.
When I walked out of the movie theater for Avatar, when I saw it, when it was originally released, I walked out and I said, this is Dances with Wolves on another planet in outer space. And I didn't think about it too much until, I don't know, about a year or so ago. Kathy and I liked The Love Boat, the TV show Love Boat.
Yeah.
And we were doing this binging of The Love Boat. And we have like 2 seasons left, but we've watched like 5 seasons of The Love Boat.
Yeah. It's no good after the 5th season.
And James Cameron just totally plagiarized the main storyline of Titanic out of The Love Boat. I'm not talking about the sinking because The Love Boat never sinks. But if you remember, the main story was not so much the sinking of the Titanic. It was Jack Dawson, Leonardo DiCaprio, and then that necklace with the big stone.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was called. Do you remember what it was called? The big emerald or whatever it was?
No, it was a diamond, the blue diamond, the star of the ocean,
Something like that.
Yeah.
We were watching The Love Boat, and they had that exact same storyline in a comedic way on an episode of The Love Boat where there was a woman who was, and her husband came on board. She was wearing the same necklace that had the same name, and one of the characters in the episode was named Jack Dawson.
Played by John Ritter.
Yeah, John Ritter
played. Couldn't believe it.
Jack Dawson was played by John Ritter.
Jack Dawson.
And Kathy and I were watching this. We're like, oh my goodness.
Plus, it was an episode. I'm pretty sure it was all in one episode. And John Ritter played Jack Dawson. And his story, I can't remember his storyline, but it was something like similar to Titanic. And there was a second storyline, I'm pretty sure on that episode, where there were jewel thieves, I think, if I remember. And they stole this necklace, and then somehow they ended up, Michelle Lee, I think it was, dropped the necklace overboard.
Yes.
At the end.
It was right out of it.
I looked at you and I said, James Cameron got the idea for Titanic from this episode.
Yeah.
You have Jack Dawson. What are the odds? Jack Dawson is the name of the character, and a woman, Michelle Lee, drops a priceless diamond necklace overboard.
And the necklace may have had the same name.
I mean, he got his story from that episode, and it was on a boat.
So he's a plagiarist, possibly.
You've heard it here first. And you will only hear that here. Nobody has ever picked up on that.
So anyway, he's giving an interview, and James Cameron says that he edited 10 minutes of guns from Avatar 2 and says that he regrets I don't even know how to pronounce this word. Fetishizing. Is it fetishizing? Fetishizing? Is that a new word?
Fetishizing.
Fetishizing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I just never heard that before.
Okay. He cut 10 minutes of guns from Avatar 2, says he regrets fetishizing, whatever.
That's a mouthful.
Firearms in movies. Okay. James Cameron is responsible for the Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator not just kills a lot of people, and that's not, and I'm not talking about this. In the first one, he went into a police station and killed an entire police station of cops. Remember that?
We saw an old movie the other day. I can't remember where they used the term Terminator. And remember, I looked at you and I said, he took this too.
Yeah, maybe.
I can't remember what movie it was. It was an older movie, and they had the term Terminator in the film. And I said to you, that's where James Cameron got this name.
So, and that era with Terminator of James Cameron just launched this whole 80s action death. I loved all those movies, Rambo, Terminator, and all those things that came out of it were all because of James Cameron's Terminator, where more people died in Terminator than you could count. It's like a nonstop killing. And now he says, I regret after he's made his millions upon millions of endless wealth off of fetishizing, whatever the hell that means, guns and death and shootings. Now all of a sudden, well, I'm so sorry I did that. Well, get back why don't you sign the rights over to all of your movies that overuse guns, in your opinion, James Cameron, and let, like the Sandy Hook victim families and the Parkland families and all these people that have been victimized from it, let them profit off of the Terminators and all these things in the future, since you feel so guilty about it. Give me a break. He is such a, this is what he's doing this is virtue signaling. Okay. Avatar 2 is a bomb. It's made a lot of money, but not enough. It's lost a lot of money for Disney. James Cameron may have a difficult time getting financing for a movie in the future unless he finances it himself.
I think so.
So what he's doing is virtue signaling, trying to get wokesters, snowflakes into the theater by saying, well, I took 10 minutes of guns out. The movie would have been a bigger hit if it had more guns in it, but I took 10 minutes of guns out.
Yeah. He's a big hero.
So you wokesters, you could come see the movie because I took 10 minutes of guns out and I did it just for you. So please come and see my movie that's tanking.
Let me ask you guys.
Jerk.
We saw Maverick. We waited for it to go on free.
Top Gun Maverick,
which I'm glad because it was good. I mean, it wasn't as great as everybody said it was. I mean, it was good, but I think there was just a lot of hype. But I love Tom Cruise, and he's always good in everything. I like his movies. And that was a good movie. And if I would have gone to the theater and paid, I would not have been upset. I wouldn't have been like, oh, what a waste of money. I would have been like, oh, that was a great film. What is it about movies these days? There's some exceptions. But movies these days suck. And I read one article that they're trying to bring back romantic comedies because, romantic comedies were really big in the 90s. And they stopped making those. And now they see the success of like all these Christmas movies that are basically romantic comedies. And they're now starting to make them again. They're trying to bring the genre back.
But they're too hetero for what's going on
Well,
now.
That's going to be the problem. And that's the problem that they're running into. Like on Hallmark Channel, they're doing those romantic comedies with gay characters. And hey, that's fine. I don't care.
I don't want to watch that.
But look at this movie, Bros.
Oh my goodness, who wants to watch that?
That's a romantic comedy, I guess, for gay people. But nobody saw that movie. So that's the problem, like you said, with romantic comedies, they're going to run into with that because they want to represent everybody, but not everybody wants to see that. But what is it with movies? And I have my own personal thinking on that. Movies suck today because the people writing the movies suck.
Yeah.
You got these young millennials and Zoomers that are so worried about getting their agenda across and making sure you leave the theater hating Trump or hating this or hating that there's no story. There's just no good writing anymore. And the only other movies that actually get people to go are like these huge Marvel movies. I'm so sick of these Marvel movies. I mean, they're just really milking this. They did this Black Adam, which totally bombed as well with The Rock, who I'm so sick of. I always love The Rock, but he's so overexposed. What is it about movies that you think why they're not doing well? It can't just be the cost. I mean, that's part of it. But there's really very few movies. Now, Top Gun was an exception.
I'll tell you
that
why.
get people to the theater.
I know the answer.
Avatar's a big franchise.
I'll tell you the reason.
And nobody went to see it.
No, the reason that movies are tanking today is because the writers are no good.
That's the big part of it.
They hire writers based on the check marks on the list. Okay, this is the first Black, Asian, transgender writer with 6 toes on the left foot. Click, you're right in the movie. And you think I'm kidding? Guys, you guys know I'm a huge Star Wars and Star Trek fan, and these new Star Trek shows, which are pretty bad. I see interviews with the writers, and they don't even know what Star Trek is, and they're writing it, but they have some. And I'll tell you one thing.
They're too woke. They're too damn woke.
One thing you want to talk about woke in Hollywood?
It's annoying.
I don't watch much television. I watch streaming things, and I watch YouTube and things like this. But I don't watch much television. And I've been hearing
like network television.
Yeah, I've been hearing from a lot of people that there are not white people in commercials anymore. And we were watching a movie last night that had commercials in it. And there was not a white person in a commercial for about an hour and 40 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, it's true.
Every commercial either had all black people in it, black people with Muslim people, black and Hispanic people, Asian people with Muslim people. And then finally, about an hour and 40 minutes later, there was finally a commercial with white people, and the white person was Jane Seymour, the actress. And it's really amazing to me what's happened with the left. The left who brought us segregation and all this stuff, they've decided to right the past wrongs that the liberals before them did, that they're going to discriminate against white people. And discriminating against white people will make up for all the discrimination against minorities that are all dead now. If we discriminate against white people in mass today, it'll make up for all the ills that were done to people that are no longer alive.
But Avatar is
so bizarre.
I didn't like Avatar, but it's a huge, huge franchise. They have a place at Disney, Avatar area or whatever. It's a huge franchise. The first movie was a huge hit. I want to know from you guys, because not everybody knows what a movie's about. I don't know if it's woke or not. I don't know anything about it. Why didn't you go see it? Why are you not? Is it because the movies are too expensive? Is it because there's too much at home you can watch? And I think part of it too is things come on video or on apps so quickly. Like Maverick came out and you want to go see it in the theater. And I'm like, let's just wait 6 weeks or a month and it'll be on an app and we'll watch it for free. Why spend $50? And I think that's a big, or is it just you don't like movies anymore? Now,
we're going to take our last break. And when we get back, this Trump derangement is taking a whole new era I want to get to when we get back. There's something going on at West Point involving Trump derangement syndrome that you got to really look closely and read between the lines to find it. But these people are really they're doing something for their Trump derangement that's pretty pathetic, and I'll share it with you. But I first want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And those of you that are Patreon supporters, thank you so much. And if you would like to support the program by becoming a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the episode descriptions. And there's also a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. When you click the Patreon link, it'll explain to you how to become a Patreon supporter. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, and Rome, Wisconsin. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all. We'll be right back with our final segment. Don't miss this. Trump derangement syndrome's got nuts. We'll talk about it right after this.
Want to know where all the bodies are buried? Author Robert Allen Miltenberg holds the key to that question in his book, Pool Boy to the Mob, Everybody Out of the Pool. Author Robert Allen Miltenberg holds the key to that question in his book, Pool Boy to the Mob. Welcome to Mob-Ammy Beach. This book is a fictionalized account of Miltenberg working at a mob-owned Miami Beach hotel in the 70s. If you're a fan of The Godfather, Goodfellas, or The Sopranos, you will love this story that's full of colorful characters and wisecracking wise guys. It's a story with everything from Playboy bunnies and weaponized parrots to shattering the glass ceiling and getting away with murder, all in paradise. This is a wise guy tale you've never heard. Surrounded by pools, the trick for Bobby Moskowitz was not slipping in the one thicker than water. Bobby lived to tell the tales, and now you can read all about it. The funniest mob novel since Jimmy Breslin's The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight. Pool Boy to the Mob, Everybody Out of the Pool, from author Robert Allen Miltenberg, available on Amazon. Order your copy right now. Effectively motivating, inspiring, and leading engineering professionals is about putting people first. In today's world, effectively motivating and managing highly intelligent technology professionals is challenging. Arm yourself with the knowledge and tools you need to become a highly effective and motivating engineering team manager with the book Leadership with a Purpose, Motivating Your Engineers by author Robert D. Murphy. Engineers working in the modern-day workforce are becoming increasingly more informed about their careers and employers, making employee retention a full-time job. This is your guidebook to effectively motivating, inspiring, and leading professionals at all levels, keeping them happy and loyal to you. When you read Leadership with a Purpose, you'll learn how to establish a healthy engineering culture, how to cultivate it, and how to build trust with your teams. Give yourself a roadmap to successful leadership with Leadership with a Purpose, Motivating Your Engineers, from author Robert D. Murphy. Available in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Brian Craig here. Right now, Mike Lindell is offering the MyPillow, the pillow that started it all. Regular price $49.98, just $19.98 with our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout. I've tried every pillow too. The foam pillow, bamboo pillow, and a bunch more. None of them worked until my first night's sleep with the MyPillow. That patented fill inside adjusts to your exact individual needs. It keeps your neck aligned, holds it in shape all night long, no matter your sleep position. So you get the best night's sleep with no tossing and no turning, so you wake up in the morning refreshed and ready to go. Now, this is the lowest price that Mike Lindell's offered the MyPillow for. That's just $19.98 with our promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at MyPillow.com. You can also order over the phone, 1-800-716-4879, 1-800-716-4879, promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. Order your MyPillow and get the best night's sleep just like I do every night. Parents, grandparents, and teachers, safety is one of the most important concepts for young children to learn. Make learning safe habits fun with the illustrated children's book, Safety Seal, from author Samuel Griffin III, available on Amazon. Safety Seal is about a young seal who makes every trip an adventure. Your child will love following along with the engaging and easy-to-read story while enjoying colorful illustrations and learning the best safety tips. Safety Seal knows it's important to follow the rules that help you stay safe when you are away from home. Join Safety Seal on a school trip where following the rules also helps keep a new friend safe from a bully. This is a book your child will love to read every night. Send them off to bed with the safe habits of Safety Seal. Safety Seal, from author Samuel Griffin III. Order your copy on Amazon. Available in Kindle and paperback.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Okay, so West Point is removing a portrait of General Robert E. Lee. Okay, listen to this. As a response to a federal order by the Department of Defense, which is very woke, right? West Point is starting to remove all Confederate statues and portraits from its campuses. Okay, or from its campus, it's one campus. West Point Superintendent Lieutenant General Steve Gilland broke the news and stated, during the holiday break, we will begin a multi-phased process in accordance with Department of Defense directives to remove, rename, or modify assets and real property at the United States Military Academy and West Point installation that commemorate or memorialize the Confederacy or those who voluntarily served with the Confederacy. Okay, one of the most notable Confederate portraits that will be removed is General Robert E. Lee's portrait. Besides the portrait of General Lee, a stone image of him along with several plaques of his likeness will also be removed. Most people only know Robert E. Lee as the general of the Confederate Army, but before choosing a side, he served 32 years in the U.S. military, and he was a top grad from West Point who was a hero of the Mexican-American War, and of course, over 30 years served in the United States. And General Lee, this is something I did not know. I thought I knew a lot about General Lee. After the Mexican-American War, Lee was named as the superintendent of West Point. So he once led West Point. I did not know that.
Wow.
I never heard that
he has
before.
A connection.
I knew he went there, but I didn't know he was the superintendent of West Point. In the years leading up to the Civil War, Lee condemned any statue seceding from the Union and stated they were betraying the founding fathers. Advisor to President Lincoln, Union Army General Winfield
So what is their beef
Scott,
with him?
I'll tell you, even requested Robert E. Lee to be the new general of the Union Army. That's right. He was offered. He turned it down. Okay. The reason they're taking General Lee's images down from West Point is not the standard, racism. That's usually the slavery. They are now, this is the first time that this is being done by the Defense Department. It's being done by the Biden administration.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's being done by the Democrats. They're doing this because the Democrats are removing General Lee from West Point because he took part in an insurrection against the United States government. And usually they've been taken down. I'm surprised there's any.
I thought you just said he was against the succession.
Well, he was before Virginia did. When Virginia did, he said, "I can't fight against Virginia. Virginia's my country," and all this stuff. So he was against it until Virginia left the Union, and then he was Virginia.
Right.
So General Lee took part in an insurrection against the United States of America. So this is the Trump derangement. See, they're making their big move against Trump, the insurrectionist.
This is about validating what they're doing with Trump to show precedence. So that's what they're doing.
Exactly.
They're all lawyers.
So what they're going to do.
So they're showing historical precedence here.
So what they're going to do, the few Confederate monuments and things that are still in existence that BLM hasn't taken down over the last few years, they're going to take down because they took part in an insurrection against the government.
They're setting the stage.
And when these stories come out, make sure that you talk about them with your friends, share them on your Twitter and everything else, and make sure that you point out the American Civil War. We call it the Civil War, but the Confederates, the Sons of Confederate Veterans and people like that. They often refer to it as the War of Northern Aggression. You may have heard that, the War of Northern Aggression. I think the American Civil War should be renamed the Democratic Insurrection against the United States government. And that's a very accurate description for that war. The Democrat Insurrectionist War, something along those lines. And you're right, Kathy. What they're doing is they're trying to, we do not tolerate insurrectionists. General Lee was an insurrectionist, just like Trump against the government, and we will not honor these people are
They're
sick.
Justifying it. They're rationalizing it. They're lumping him in. Well, they want to lump in January 6th with the Civil War, and they've made that connection, and a lot of people snicker at that because they're like, look, this was not an act of war, and we didn't go to war for 4 years, and hundreds of thousands of people didn't die, but because of January 6th, but they want to link those two. They're desperate to link Trump to that action and to that same type of event. So their thinking is, well, if we're going to punish him, let's punish everybody throughout history that's been involved and just do a blanket punishment so everybody knows how serious we are about this. So they're laying the groundwork for what's coming.
Now, I just want to mention one last thing here, and this is important, and it's getting lost because of a lot of reasons. Over the weekend, Putin gave an interview on Russian state TV that he wanted to have peace talks to end the war in Ukraine. And it hasn't even been mentioned in the news because the left and the Democrats don't want the war to end. This Ukraine funding doesn't all get paid at once. It's over a period of time. And if the war ended tomorrow, the money wouldn't get spent. They wouldn't be able to steal. Well, now the Ukraine government is talking about a peace summit by the end of February.
I saw that.
So here we have Russia and Ukraine both talking about a peace summit. Joe Biden and the Democrats are going to do everything in their power to not have a peace summit and keep the war going. And the reason they want to keep the war going is because it is big money. It is boatloads of money for them. It is boatloads of money. The money they spend for all these weapons is over a period of time. The weapons have to be ordered. Some of them have to be made. They have to be shipped. They have to be accepted. There's all kinds of things going on here. If the war were to end, most of this money would never get spent by the government. Yeah. So you're going to see this liberal media and then this Democrat government that's running this country into the toilet right now do everything they can to not give peace a chance and keep war going because they're thieves. I
still think it's weird.
Both sides want a peace conference.
The timing of wanting to end the war coincides with the timing of us taking over the House of Representatives. I'm sorry. I think that's a little
I don't know
strange.
what the connection could be.
Well, I don't know. Think about it.
I don't know. I have thought about it. Have you? I don't know what the connection would be.
All of a sudden, the money's going to get cut off, and all of a sudden now they want to have peace. You don't think that's a little strange?
Yeah. A little bit.
I'm sorry. I think it's a little, timing is a little, it's all in the timing. All of a sudden now they're going to lose their flow of money. Now all of a sudden they want to have peace.
Yeah,
I think it's a little sus, as my daughter would say, a little sus.
Well, let's see if they if they allow the peace talks to happen. Now, I just want to say this is our first show post Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, and
Happy New
Year. I got to tell you this was it was a good. Kathy, I was telling people this morning on YouTube that I am terrible at gift buying. I never know what to buy anyone. My daughter and Kathy always know what to get, and I got tons of great. It's everything that I get from my daughter or from Kathy is something super cool that
I inherited that from
that I love and get a lot of use out of and everything. And so we had a pretty good Christmas. I hope
I took Brian to the mall and picked out my gift. That's what I did, and he got it. No problem.
Well, that's not exactly true.
I said I'd like to get this.
There was something that I wanted to get Kathy that.
True.
Was not inexpensive, and it was something that I was not sure I would be able to get exactly
because there's different varieties.
So I asked Kathy to come with me in case they did not have the exact one, and I had to get an alternative option. And I'm glad I did because we had to get an alternative option, which turned out to be perfect. But if I was by myself, I never would have found that.
But just the fact that I'm really not making fun of you. It shows what a great husband you are, because just the fact that you took me to the mall and you basically were like, okay, whatever you want, honey, I'll get you as your present. And then I had it on Christmas Day to open. And I thought that was very nice of you to do that. I'm not making fun of you. My mom gives her husband like a list, and she'll actually every year takes him to the mall and like basically.
No, we didn't do that.
No, we didn't go that far. And she'll pick it out and be like, all right, this is what I want.
And I picked my gift out too, that you got me.
No, you did. You told me what you wanted and I got it for you.
Yeah.
That's I really, look, I like giving gifts to people. I like Christmas. It's more fun to give than receive. I really believe that. When you get older, you appreciate people more and you want to give them things. But you get into this rabbit hole of spending for the holidays, and I don't mind, but it gets a little crazy sometimes. And sometimes you feel, not with you or Emily, but with other people in my family, I feel so obligated to buy them something, especially if they buy me something. And one year I said to my mom, who I love dearly, I said, Mom, let's not exchange gifts, because I said, it costs you too much money. It costs me too much money. I'm just going to buy for Brian and Emily. You just buy for your husband. Don't buy me anything. And that did not go over well. Let me tell you, that did not go over well. She said, that's not happening. I like buying presents. I like celebrating it that way. So I tried, but she wasn't having it. So, you end up having to buy gifts for all these people. Like I said, I don't mind giving, But I think when you get older, it's okay to say, you know what, let's just not go broke here and let's just get together,
ridiculous.
have a nice dinner.
It's ridiculous.
And give each other a hug and a kiss, and that's it. I don't understand, other than giving to your kids, why people feel they have to like buy presents for everybody. But
well, what we like to do,
I don't mean to sound like a Scrooge.
What Kathy and I like to do is buy one thing for each of us. Like I get one thing for Kathy.
One nice thing. That's what
Kathy gets one thing for me. I don't like all these tchotchke gifts people get, that you don't really use and you're never going to use and all of that.
I like practical gifts. I like gifts you can use.
Yeah.
I'm not into jewelry or anything like that.
But you don't turn it down though.
Well, I don't really get jewelry, but I really wouldn't like it. I probably would say, yeah, go return it. I like practical things. That's just the things you can use. That's what it is.
I bought you jewelry. I bought you jewelry before, and we had some workers in the house that stole Kathy's jewelry box.
Yeah, I'm just not that into jewelry.
And we didn't know it for like 2 weeks, and it was forget about it. It was awful.
You did buy me that nice necklace. That got stolen.
I got you. Yeah, that's right. At least
for
that's
my 30th.
Story.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, no, they stole. I couldn't believe, and we had gotten,
and we did not have really any money back then.
No,
so that was a hard thing to buy.
What happened was we had gotten new carpet.
Yeah,
and the workers took Kathy's jewelry box hidden in the roll of old carpet. Is what we came to find out. But by the time we found out, it was like 2 weeks later. It was gone. It was gone. But anyway, I hope everyone had a great Christmas, and we had a very good Christmas, and things will continue to go well as the new year approaches. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will talk to you next time.